The last day we're going to spend in section 6, chapter 5, is just reviewing all the different ways we've learned how to write equations given different pieces of information. So a couple of examples from each type. First, we want to identify the slope and the y-intercept of the line, and we want to use those pieces of information to graph it. So remember, when we have an equation written in slope-intercept form, it's y equals mx plus b. So the number in front of the x is your m, or your slope, and the number in the back is your b, or your y-intercept. So our slope here is 3, and remember, we can write it as a fraction 3 over 1, since we're going to use it up 3 over 1. And our y-intercept, or our b, is positive 5. So when we graph, we start at the y-intercept, so you need to go up to positive 5, and please make sure you're on the y-axis. From here, we want to plot a series of points that are on the line using the slope. So we're going to go up 3 and over 1. Notice it is in the positive direction, and I kind of run out of room when I go that way, so I'm going to go down 3 and now to the left. Remember, it's just down 3 over 1, and again, I'm not really paying attention to which way's positive, up, down, left, or right. I just know that this line has positive slope, which is what I need since my line, since the slope of this line was positive 3. Go ahead and try this one on your own. See if you can graph it correctly, so pause the video. But here our slope is a negative 2, and our y-intercept, or the b, is a negative 1. That means we want to start on the y-axis at negative 1. We always start at the y-intercept. And now if we're going to go up 2, we need to go in the other direction, 1, because we need our line to have negative slope. And remember, you can write this as a fraction, negative 2 over 1. But we need to go up 2 and to the left, or down 2 and to the right. This line now has negative slope. Hopefully you got that right, and if not, you can see where you went wrong. So now let's look at an equation where we're given a point that's on our line, and we're also given the slope of the line. And we need to write the equation in slope-intercept form. Remember, to write an equation in slope-intercept form, you need two things. You need slope, and you need b, which is the y-intercept. So we're given slope, it's 3 over 2. We're not given the b. So remember, this is where we need to plug all the pieces in that we are given to help us solve for b. So again, in the ordered pair, the 4 is the x, the 7 is the y. So we're plugging 7 in for y, we're plugging 3 over 2 in for m, 4 in for x, and we don't know the b. And the reason why this works, anytime you have an ordered pair that a line goes through, you can plug that ordered pair into the equation and it should solve the equation. So that's why we can plug in the 4 and the 7 to help us find what b is. So we get 7 equals, some of you were asking how you multiply fractions and whole numbers. You multiply the numerator by 4, so 3 times 4 is 12, and then you can divide it by 2 to get 6. We want to subtract 6 now from both sides, just like we would solve any equation, and we're left with 1 equals b. So now we have slope and we have b, so we can write our equation. Also remember that when you write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form, y and x stay variables. So we have y equals 3 over 2x plus 1. Okay, try this one on your own. So pause the video here, see if you can find the correct b, and then write the equation in slope-intercept form. So again, this is x and this is y. So we have y equals mx plus b. I like to write that so I can visually see where I'm plugging things in at. The 3 is my y, 2 is my slope, 1 is my x, and I'm trying to solve for b. 2 times 1 is 2. Now we subtract 2 from both sides, and we get again that 1 equals b. So when we rewrite the equation, y equals mx plus b, we're plugging 2 in for m, and we're plugging 1 in for b. So we get y equals 2x plus 1. The last type of example is the one that's probably most difficult, only because we have the most work to do. Here we're just given 2 points on the line. So we first need to find slope, and then we need to find b. So remember the formula for slope. It's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So if we label our ordered pair x1, y1, and the other one is x2, y2, we get 6 minus 4 on top, negative 1 minus a negative 2 on the bottom. Negative 1 minus negative 2 is the same as negative 1 plus 2. 6 minus 4 is 2. Negative 1 plus 2 is 1. So our slope is 2 over 1, or 2. Please notice that it is positive. Now we're going to use that slope we just found and the first ordered pair. Remember, I like to use the first one so that I stay consistent. So now we have y equals mx plus b, and we know m, but we don't know b yet. So now it's just like the last problem. If we go back, we had an ordered pair and we had the slope. Well, now look, we have an ordered pair and we have the slope. So you plug the 4, that's y1, in for y, plug positive 2 in for our slope, that's what we just calculated, and we plug a negative 2 in for the x, for that ordered pair, negative 2, 4, and we solve. So 4 equals negative 4 plus b, add 4 to both sides, and we get that 8 equals b. So now we have slope, and we have our b. We want to write the equation, so it's y equals 2x plus 8. Last example, if you'd like to pause the video here, try this one on your own. So you're finding the slope using the formula. Then you need to find b, and then plug both of those pieces in to write the equation. So we get x1 and y1, x2 and y2. I'm not going to write the slope formula this time. I know that it's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Notice the change in sign. So we get negative 2 over 4, which is negative 1/2. You need to make sure that you're reducing when you can. And in order to find b now, I'm going to use the first ordered pair, and I'm going to plug into y equals mx plus b. So my y is a 4. My slope is a negative 1/2. X is a negative 3, and I don't know what b is. So we get 4 equals negative 1/2 times negative 3 is going to be positive. Negative times negative is a positive. So I do 1 times 3. That's 3 divided by 2. Well, 3 is not divisible by 2, but that's okay. I know how to add and subtract fractions. So now let's come over here. We have 4 equals 3/2 plus b, so we're going to subtract 3/2 to the other side. And we get that b equals, most of you know that 3 over 2 is the same as 1/2, so if we subtract 1/2 from 4, subtracting 1 from 4 gives us 3. Subtracting 1/2 then would give us 2/2. 2/2 is the same as 5 over 2. You could do it the really, really long way. Get a common denominator. So this would become a 2, this would become an 8. So 8 minus 3 is 5, 2 minus 2, or excuse me, to keep the bottom the same when you're subtracting fractions, so 5 over 2. You can change it to 2 and 1/2. I'd prefer you not use a decimal, so no decimals. So now we rewrite our equation. We're using the slope we found, we're using the b we found. So we get y equals negative 1/2 x plus 5 over 2, or 5/2, for the final answer. We'll work on the last worksheet again for this section. Lots of things that we've learned so far about lines and equations and graphing, so make sure that you're really soaking a lot of that in. This is a very important topic, and it's covered very heavily on the ECA test and also on I-STEP and Acuity.